Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did she have to fight a dragon?
Nope, she bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
I am one of Motunui.
On July 10th.
Maui, you will board my boat and restore the heart of Te Fiti.
And here we go. The journey begins.
See her light up the night in the sea. She calls me.
The ocean chose you.
Let's go save the world.
I got your back, chosen one. Disney's Moana.
Boat snack. His name is Hey Hey.
His name is Yum Yum when he goes in my tum tum. In theaters July 10th. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
This season of Pack Your Knives is presented by the Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority, and we got something special, a 6-part Savor Charlotte edition, diving into the people shaping one of the South's most exciting food scenes. Charlotte's been getting a lot of national buzz lately, and for good reason. From hosting Top Chef Carolinas to its growing presence in the Michelin Guide, the city is quickly becoming a place where bold new ideas and Southern tradition come together on the plate. So go check out charlottesgotalot.com for more. Sarah, dessert or not dessert?
If we're speaking in terms of Top Chef finales, I've done it both ways. Mm-hmm. One no dessert, one with dessert, and I haven't won either time. So I don't know what it says about that. But if I were at a restaurant, I'm like a no dessert person. I would rather waste my intake and all of the things on savory stuff or cheese.
I'm with you.
The cheese course. Yeah.
I'm with you. I find myself oftentimes letting Allison have the dessert or the other guests, and I'm full from all of the protein, all the yummy stuff from the meal. And I find myself just not like out on dessert, but if I'm gonna go with either another course during the meal or a dessert, I'm going with another course. And on this Top Chef finale, we see, very controversially, Rhoda going without a dessert. But the facts are the facts, okay? This is the third time that in a finale, a chef has opted to not go with a dessert and won. And there are 5 runner-ups, including yourself, who decided to go with no dessert and did not win. But 3 out of 8, considering that there's a lot of, 3-person finales, winning 3 times out of 8 is actually, it's actually a pretty strong ratio. It's not half, but I would say if you like judging by Joe Flam's reaction in that discussion, the little pep talk with Rhoda, I think the facts suggest that you might be better off doing no dessert.
I mean, we're not pastry chefs, right? Like it's different when you have someone like Kelsey or say you had like Nene in the finale Nene is more of a pastry chef than a savory chef, even though she's fabulous on both ends. You get somebody like that on the finale who is a pastry chef and they blow you out of the water. Like it doesn't even matter. Like why even try to compete?
But if you're doing a pea cake.
But if you're making pea cake and you're serving it to the Michelin inspectors and they love it, all you got to do is just remember to cook your proteins properly, Lawrence, and you might win, right? Like it's a rough one. I know his pain.
This is Pack Your Knives. I am Tom Haberstroh.
I am Sarah Bradley.
Sarah! You were there.
I am Sarah, the luckiest draft picker ever, right? People are like, did she know? And I want to be like, I got receipts. I got time-stamped text messages.
Yeah. I think, Sarah, most people got the joke last week that I was insinuating that you had known something or cheated in the draft. I absolutely do not think you cheated in the draft. I thought I was laying it on pretty thick that I was sarcastic and just you were so good at draft night, me being a bitter loser in the fantasy league. I was just poking fun. And some people out there, I mean, I'm not supposed to read the comments and feedback. You know, the negative comments are just in the sports world and in the food space. Not all that helpful to read, but I was joking. Sara did not cheat in the draft, and we have receipts. We have all the evidence, and I just you called it with Sherry, Rhoda, and Lawrence. And as we've talked about ad nauseum on this show, you actually wanted Jossie. I took Anthony, who is just as good as any of these chefs in the competition, but didn't ultimately get to the finale. And yeah, Andy got to go to. I hate that we're leading with the draft controversy when you were at fucking Grandfather Mountain and at the finale dinner 4-course menu. So why don't we just start there? Can we talk about? You got the call to go to the finale, and what was that like? You had to pack your bags real quick, hop on a plane. You're going to Grandfather Mountain. How much did you know ahead of time that this was going to happen?
So I'll be very honest, because we got there and like Joe and Stephanie and I were all kind of chatting, and I was like, man, I didn't even have like any outfits to bring. Like I had to go shopping that day to try to find some stuff because they were like, you got to be fancy, and I'm not a fancy person. And Stephanie was like, oh, when did you find out? I've known for a couple weeks, a little while. And I was like, dude, they called me like 2-3 days ago. So let's be honest. I probably was like the backup. But then Joe said that he also got the call, just a couple days ahead of time. So it didn't feel so bad. But, I think they kind of wait to see who makes it to the finale to start inviting people because, Stephanie cooks a lot of like Asian flavors. So it made sense for her to be there, and I do this kind of like fusion of technique and my heritage. And so it made, I think they kind of pick people that fit, the chefs that have
complement each other,
complement the chefs that have shown up. You don't want to have everybody that cooks like West African food and then no one is cooking West African food and they don't really have any, knowledge to share. But it was crazy. And the worst part was that I knew, like we'd already drafted. And then when I got there and I saw who was there and I was like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. But I didn't know like the 3 helpers, like I kind of noticed them in the kitchen. But at this point, I still didn't really know what people looked like. So I didn't know who the other people were. I knew there was a twin and I actually thought the whole time that it was a different twin. I thought it was the other one.
But you drafted both twins. See, this is also going towards, you did not cheat, that you didn't even know who was totally on your team when you went to the finale.
Yeah. And like when Rhoda got sent home, I was watching on my computer and I literally shrieked. And my husband like came and he's like, is everything okay? And I was like, I was just in shock because I didn't know she went to Last Chance Kitchen. So it was like, even though I got to be there on the end, I still got to see the story unfold. But I honestly don't think it's as much fun when you know who wins. I would prefer to never know. I have avoided knowing all the way through. In season 17, I found out, and I have since avoided complete. I have never wanted to know because it's just no fun. It takes all of the mystique out of watching the show. So,
okay. So, first off, that must have been so much fun to be a participant on the finale. And we have so much to get into. And first of all, congratulations to Rhoda, Chef Rhoda, one of the best competitors we've seen on Top Chef. Won the first 2 episodes of the season, the first chef ever to open Top Chef with 2 individual victories in the elimination challenges. And she comes back and wins the whole damn thing from Last Chance Kitchen. The story arc, I think her soul, her personality, her talent, a great Top Chef winner and someone that joins a elite list of 4 Last Chance Kitchen champions to win it all. So that's Kristen, Brooke Williamson, Joe Flam, and of course, Rhoda. So she becomes the 4th one. She's also the 3rd one, as I mentioned at the top, to win without doing a dessert in the finale. So that is Kristen also. So like if you want to look at comps for who Rhoda Magbatari is on Top Chef, it's the host of Top Chef, Kristen Kish, who also came back from LCK and also chose not to do a sweet final meal at the 4-course menu. Then I want to also shout out, she won $250,000, $40,000 in addition to that with the 3 quickfire wins and the packages there. She also ends an 8-year curse. Sarah, I don't think you know this. She just snapped an 8-year curse of winning the first elimination challenge and not winning at all, which used to be the trend. It used to be if you win the first elimination challenge, you're head and shoulders above the competition. And I think it was the first year that Kevin and I did this show, Sarah. That was the biggest analytical insight I could provide as I researched the winners of the first elimination challenge. And it was an overwhelming edge in who ends up winning Top Chef, and which is why I picked Tyler Anderson #1 overall that year, because I was like, oh, he won the first episode. No doubt I'm going to take him with the first pick. And he ends up leaving in like the 2nd episode. And 8 years after that, there was a 3-year run where the first person won the elimination challenge and then won the whole thing. And then it was just a cold streak. And we just ended that with Rhoda, who not only won the first episode, but also the 2nd episode. So I don't know if there's anything to make of that there. Is that maybe winning the first elimination challenge effect is back, but she won the first 2. And so watching this season, Rhoda was certainly a roller coaster.
I don't necessarily think that it has anything to do with it. Like winning the first challenge, taking it all the way to the end, going to LCK. There's just too many variables. I can't imagine that first one, like that you showing up and winning, there's just so many nerves. There's also so many people, like everyone is great that gets there. It's just about making it to the end. So I just don't think that if you win the first challenge, it is at all indicative of how you will perform in the rest of the show.
It just seems random. Maybe in the first in the first like 14 seasons, 7 of the first elimination challenges ended up winning the whole thing. I mean, 50%, just basically, that is an absurd number when you consider how many contestants are there in Top Chef, and about half of them had gone on to win it all. But ever since then, it has been curtains for that chef. And so now Rhoda is the Top Chef, and I gotta ask you off the rip here. Did you have her as the winning chef after your meal?
I was not sure if it was going to be, actually, I don't know. I mean, they all had bangers, right? Like they all had one dish that was an absolute banger, and they all had one dish that was a flop. And the editing, they treated everyone pretty nice. It's really interesting to be at the table and then see like how it comes out. You want to break it down course by course? Okay. So first course. So tell me what we had first course.
First course was the sweet potato with uni from Rhoda, with miso butter, charred potato leaves. And I liked this. They didn't really pull on this thread, but remember the first elimination challenge she won with the sweet potato. That was her dish. So it's kind of full circle for Rhoda. She has the sweet potato with uni. And Tom really loved the originality of it. Said this is like very new. It was smoky. The uni was incredible, unbelievable. Lawrence did the congee with yu tao, the pork and century egg congee. And then Sherry did the frog leg moqueca. So how do you score that one? Do you remember anything from those first course dishes?
Okay, let's start Sherry. So Tom and I went into the kitchen that first day when we did the walkthrough, and we both like tasted the moqueca sauce. It was blow you up spicy. I mean, it was like out of control. And so we were all kind of waiting to see what happened. She definitely toned it down, but it still had some spice to it. It was a beautiful dish. I mean, langoustines, like she said, are really hard to cook. It's always kind of a gamble about the quality. I love frog legs. Like, I think they're such a fun thing. So it was just like a really beautiful sauce. It had a bunch of like little tiny diced veggies underneath, and then these really pretty proteins. I mean, there's some other stuff going on.
They muted the heat on that.
Yeah,
she definitely
toned the heat down. Everyone liked that dish. Some people loved that dish.
Kristen said it was her favorite of the entire night. Well, let me ask you this: the langoustine and frog legs, is that considered a duo?
I don't know what that is. Literally,
because your talk with her was like, "Yo, chill with the duos."
My children will ask. They'll be like, "Can I say a cuss word?" And I'll be like, "Sure." And Lula was like, "Why does your face look like you're like looking at her like, what the fuck?" I was like, "Excuse me?" And she was like, "You're looking at her like, what are you doing? Why does your face look like that?" And I was like, "Lula, like, like they don't get to say curse words that often, but I would rather, whatever. We have a theory I have my own theory about curse words." But I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "I don't know. Your face looks weird. All of you guys, you're like talking to them and you all look like you're thinking like, why are you going to do that?"
Well, did you feel that? Did you feel that?
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard because when they're explaining the dishes to us on the top of Grandfather Mountain, and they're like, you have 5 minutes to talk to your mentor or whatever it is. They were trying to get like so much information like out. Like they were really trying to like give us the whole thing. And it just, Stephanie, Joe, and I all walked away thinking like, oh my God, like what are they? You saw Stephanie. She was like, you have 2 pages of notes. And Joe was like, I really think you might just need to edit, And I was like, I don't know if you need to do that. Like it was just a lot. So I think at first we all were like, whoa. Plus, we've been there. I mean, I've served a finale meal twice. So like, I know exactly what I would do, or at least I think I know exactly what I would do. Do you like that role? Was that nerve-wracking for you? Like, no, I didn't care. I was nervous for them, but I was not nervous. Yeah. I didn't care. I was going to sit there and eat food and get someone to do my makeup and drink wine, and I was going to be all good.
Yeah. Did you have a feeling of like, I don't want to give bad advice that might hurt them, or like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I prefaced with like, this is you got to do you have to execute. It has to be beautiful. I think they like put that like in the end of it. I was like, but you have like, this has to be your food, which is why I thought Sherry's was interesting that each one of her dishes like paid homage to where she had worked at some point. Cause I just don't think that where she worked it's a great part of her story, but I think her story is this like Brazilian food, like elevated, I rather would have seen, but we all make decisions. She served a fabulous meal.
Yeah. It felt like Vinny, honestly, Vinny from last year, where she was paying homage to the places that she worked. But as Gail mentioned in this episode, she's like, I worked there too. Like at Le Cirque. And I feel like she leaned in, if I had a note for her, she leaned in a little too much on where she worked and not who she is. And in a room full of people who have worked at all those restaurants or those types of restaurants, that doesn't make her unique, but I can understand why. If I'm going to pay homage to someone, maybe I pay homage to my grandfather or my uncle or my aunt, or I might do it to ESPN or someone I worked at NBC. She chose the professional route where like she wanted to pay homage to the restaurants and the spaces that she had worked in. And I felt like it was Vinny all over again last year, where it's like, we don't care. We want you, like you. We know that you worked for some pretty awesome chefs, Michelin this, Michelin that. But this ultimately it didn't matter because she cooked really good dishes. And I scored this one. Rhoda wins the first course with the sweet potato and uni. And Kristen Kish said this was her favorite. The sherry one was her favorite. And then I had Lawrence third. So Rhoda, sweet potato and uni, that I thought got just...
That might have been one of the best dishes I ate of the entire year. Like that dish. So they all got to bring some special ingredients. You always get to do this. You always get to request some special stuff that you think you won't get, because they really want you to be able to cook your food and have access. And I just don't know that you're going to get top of the line uni or abalone in Charlotte, North Carolina. So,
I was just going to ask that.
Yeah.
Where the hell did she get that stuff?
So she had an uni. She has a friend that is like an uni fisherman that like is an uni diver, and they dove for that uni specifically for her. And maybe the abalone too. I'm not sure, but I know specifically the uni in California, and they shipped it to her. So that it was. So first off, I love uni. It's one of my favorite ingredients, and I love sweet potato. I mean, I loved everything about that dish. It was so unique and so interesting and so flavorful. The potato was cooked perfect. It was like covered in this miso butter. It was smoky. Everything about that dish. I mean, for me, that was the best dish of the entire meal. And it was like one of the first, I think it was the first one we tasted. But she came out and told this story about being in California and that she had a friend that dove for this uni, and we're all kind of like start eating it, and you could kind of look around the table and you could feel a vibe that like this dish was just amazing. And I felt like later on when we see them like back in the kitchen, Rhoda had a little more playful of a energy, maybe like a little more relaxed.
Loose,
it could have been,
confident,
it could have been because I think that she could probably see the excitement on everyone's faces when we started digging into that dish. It was phenomenal. And then I think that Sherry brought the langoustines. I'm not quite sure what ingredient
Lawrence brought. Yeah.
Lawrence brought, but and what was Lawrence's dish?
The congee with that like fried. Oh, the fried stick that was just it looked awesome. Yeah.
Listen, I'm a grits girl. Okay, you could give me congee, and I wouldn't be able to tell you if this is like a great congee or if the rice is broken the amount it should be, or if it's this or that. But I knew that congee was thick, like, and I'm not like an aficionado on it.
Right.
But I knew that it wasn't, I couldn't imagine that's the way he wanted it served. It had a ton of flavor to it, but it had seized, it had set up. And so like when you scooped through it with your spoon, it almost like held a shape instead of kind of pulling back into the area. If that makes sense. And when I say pulling, I mean like POOL, filled the empty space. So it was definitely too thick. And it was also kind of interesting. He had trimmed the edges off of the bread that he had made. I didn't have a lot of experience with the bread that he had made, the fried bread. A lot of the people that had experience with that type of bread were saying, it's really great. But when he cut the ends off, he kind of lost those like little end pieces that like are the crispy, like the really crispy, crunchy bits. And so they were like, why did he cut off the best parts of this bread? Like the end
I didn't
piece.
get that. I didn't get why they didn't explain that.
I'll also tell you that in between each dish is you probably got 20 minutes, I'd say, and they go around and they say, Sarah, it's your turn to talk. And, they give everybody, they ask people, to talk. Yes, no, negative, positive. They want lots of feedback. But yeah, Rhoda's dish for me, showstopper.
A quick message from today's sponsor, the ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program. If you've ever owned a pet, you know they have their own quirks, their own weird little behaviors, and it's part of what makes them lovable. But when those quirks and weird behaviors shift slightly, you don't know if suddenly that means that they're sick or they're just being different. That lack of certainty is how you end up with those surprise vet visits you didn't see coming. Luckily, ASPCA Pet Health Insurance helps cover eligible vet expenses, so when these quirk shifts happen, you can focus on getting them the care they need without overthinking the cost or second-guessing your decision. Plus, when you enroll in an ASPCA Pet Health Insurance plan, you could get a $25 Amazon gift card. It's a little treat for you while you're doing something great for your pet. Because big vet bills never show up when it's convenient, do they? To explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/dings, D-I-N-G-S. That's aspcapetinsurance.com/dings. Eligibility restrictions apply. Visit aspcapetinsurance.com/Amazon terms for more info. This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance.
Experience a membership that backs your business journey with American Express Business Platinum. Earn 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, apply to find out your welcome offer, which could be as high as 300,000 membership rewards points. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Terms apply. Welcome offers vary, and you may not be eligible for an offer. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
You thought this was your run club era. Turns out, it was more of a thinking about run club era. The good news? Someone's marathon training is about to start. Sell your workout gear on Depop. Just snap a few photos, and we'll take care of the rest. They get their race day fit, and you get a payout for trying. Someone on Depop wants what you've got. Start selling now. Depop, where taste recognizes taste.
Do you have to say a negative thing on every dish? You have to find something?
No, you don't have to. I mean, I thought all the dishes were really, really nice. Yeah. They were all really good.
Temp issues in this episode for sure on some of these dishes. Like the Lawrence's dish had some temperature issues, just set, and it wasn't hot enough. And I think Sherry struggled with that from here and there in this episode. But second one, Lawrence has a big bounce back with his trio, his dim sum trio, with a daikon cake, shrimp, scallop, tofu, then lobster sticky rice. The sauces, as Joe mentioned, were outstanding on this one, the dim sum trio, and it seemed like that was also a big winner in this episode. And then I had that scored as Lawrence's win. Then I had Rhoda in second with the Luga abalone dish with abalone liver mousse. And again, I was like, damn, they have that at the Super G market. I was like, I'd missed that last time I was in there. And it had, I think, I can't say that I've had abalone liver mousse before, but apparently it can have some off flavor or some funk to it that can be off-putting. And there was some funk, but it worked really well in this dish. And I think that speaks to how fresh it was and the quality of it, that some people are like, this is a tough one to pull off, but she did on this episode.
Yeah, so it's abalone livers, like it's kind of like it's really briny and like super umami. And the thing that you have to realize is if you say liver abalone mousse, you got to put enough on the plate that we taste liver abalone mousse. So the thing that I think the complaint from a lot of people at the table for that one is she just put a few little dots on there. She didn't put very much. So it wasn't like it was it wasn't present. It wasn't one of those things. Like she could have just said abalone, because you should have seen the menu descriptions. Sherry's had 5,000 words. Rhoda was very simple in her descriptions.
From the Sarah Bradley School.
How I love that. I think I even told Sherry that. I was like, don't put a lot of words on the menu in case you decide to change your mind. But so the liver abalone, it was there, but it wasn't like something that, they didn't love her porridge. They didn't love the consistency of it. But it was also like it was like the second one we'd had that was not hot enough. If you're going to plate something hot, get that bowl. I don't give a shit about those people serving the food at this event. I would not have cared if they all needed napkins to carry my food out. I would have made my plates so hot that when they sat down in front of the people and they touched them, they said, "Oh, this plate is warm." Like for me, that's a really nice extra touch. Yeah, and then I remember with Lawrence's, the sauce work was fabulous. The lobster sticky rice, I remember us all thinking it needed more lobster. And I heard Kristen say, like, that was my favorite out of the 3. I don't know that dish was super, super successful.
It was on the show. It seemed like the edits showed that it was the winner of that course for sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what Sherry served on that one.
It was a potato dumpling with pig ear broth with matsutakis. Too cold, chewy, slimy. The dumplings were great, but it was overpowered by the other elements on the dish. So it was interesting.
Dumplings. She made these potato dumplings, and I remember her making them and telling me how she was like, I'm going to make them the day before, or I'm going to make the dough and then make them the next day. And in my head, I was thinking, oh no, sister, like that's a risk. Like, if you're going to make the dough that day, you should just go ahead. And if you're going to poach them, she took all of the scraps from the roasted potatoes where she made the dumpling, and she turned that into like a brodo. Like, that was part of that broth that kind of went over it. And it was just it was just kind of over seasoned. There was like too much lemon in it, that it kind of overtook everything and kind of got rid of that really like roasty, savory umami thing, because it was just a little bit too much acid. I don't remember them really being slimy, but maybe it was because she didn't do the dough that day and she had to get so much flour on it to make it work.
I think what Kristen said was it had a lot of chewy, slimy textures. And I couldn't tell if Kristen was saying that as a positive or a negative, like that she enjoyed that. I don't know if slimy is...
I don't think slimy is a good word.
I don't think that's the positive connotation there.
You could say like unctuous. I don't know. There was other words you could probably use. The other thing was she said it had these crispy pig ears. And the pig ears were so over fried. They were really over fried. I think maybe she knew, so she didn't put a lot of them on the plate. So then here the menu comes out and it's like crispy pig ears. We didn't really get crispy pig ears, and the pieces we did get were so, like, the texture of them was so crunchy compared to like the pillowy dumpling and the kind of like light broth. That dish, I thought that dish was going to be like her. I thought that dish was going to be her, like, I thought it was just going to be amazing. When she was telling me about it and she was like going to use all the parts, all of the ingredients, like nothing was going to be wasted. And I just thought, man, like, this is so cool with this, this potato skin broth and this dumpling, and like she's using pig ears. And I was really hopeful for that dish.
That was Kristen's least favorite of the day, and she redeemed herself quite a bit on the next course. So Sherry in the third course did this beef tongue with foie gras that I think it was Hunter Lewis who said if Thomas Keller did a Top Chef pop-up at Brazil, this would be the dish. And it had some Carolina Reaper leche de tigre in the original conception of the dish. But I don't know if she used the Reapers for the previous dish or if she used it on this one. Whatever it was, this also was on the list of showstoppers that I could tell from the edit that was an extremely successful dish. What did you think of it?
It was good. Originally she had said she was going to do this. She was going to open with this beef tongue and langoustine dish. So she really, she was smart about it. I think you had Rhoda who undershopped and just bought what she needed to try to kind of keep it simple and pure. And then Sherry, who had more proteins than what she actually did, because she ended up putting the beef tongue as her main. I don't know what her other main was. I feel like maybe it was going to also be a short rib. And maybe she pivoted when she saw that Sherry was doing a short rib. I can't remember that for sure. I know the leche de tigre, there was not enough of that on the plate. Like, I feel like if you're going to tell us a sauce like that, and it's tiger's milk. It's usually like a marinade that's used to kind of cure seafood. I don't know that just putting peppers in something. I think some of the discussion was like, you can't just put spicy peppers into something and call it leche de tigre. Like, it doesn't, that's not how it works. The beef tongue was so good. Have you ever cooked beef tongue?
I've not cooked beef tongue. I love lengua though. if I'm getting tacos at a stand, I'm like, oh, give me that. Yeah.
Okay. So this is my shout out to be like, if you just listen to the podcast every once in a while, you should watch the podcast. Okay, here's my tongue. Big long tongue. The back part of the tongue on an animal has all this fat. Yeah, Tom's got his tongue out right now. That part that's back there by your teeth, that's just marbled with so much fat. And the thing is like, the more an animal uses a muscle, the more flavorful it is. That's why we love the brisket, right? Because the cow's breathing in and out. That's why I love the tongue, because I mean, shit, I talk a lot. So like, I would imagine that my tongue would be delicious.
My tongue is delicious.
My tongue would be delicious. But she gave everybody these pieces from like way back on the tongue, where
fatty
it's really fatty.
Yeah.
And then the way she had grilled them, they had gotten this real crisp texture to them. And then she had braised them in this sauce. We all wanted more sauce. Her sauce work was fabulous. Just those two, that first and second dish, those spicy sauces, that's where she lived. And then I'm a brat for foie. I love it. It's my favorite. I can eat it raw. I can eat it cooked. I can eat it cold, hot. I don't care.
That combo worked for you?
It was so nice. Yeah, it was a great dish. Lawrence, on the other hand,
the duck. Whoops.
This is really where he, I think he took himself out of the running for it. I hate it. I felt like they made it like it was Jonathan that screwed the duck up.
Yeah, in the car, the thought was, hey, we prepare it sous vide, and that I think would be a really good way to prepare this. And Lawrence said, oh yeah, really? Okay. Yeah, we can do that. That sounds good. And then that's kind of, once that happened, I was like, this is either going to make this dish or it's going to break this dish. And so it did seem like they were telling the story as if Lawrence was not misled, but it wasn't his preference to do it that way.
Well, in my interpretation of it, remember when Carla Hall cooked in the finale and Jen Thompson, was that who it was like, hey, we sous vide, or maybe it wasn't Jen, maybe it was somebody else. I can't remember. Somebody was like, this is how we do it. And so Carla sous vide her meat and she wasn't familiar with it. But the reason Carla did that she suggested is because Carla was nervous about cooking that much protein properly. Mm-hmm. So I have a feeling that, and this is just my assumption, that in the car, Louis, who has been cooking for 8-10 years and doesn't have a ton of formal training, was like, I want to serve this duck and make it refined, but I don't know if I can cook 16 duck breasts perfectly.
Yeah.
And Jonathan was like, hey, I got a trick. And so I would have never sous vide my duck. I would have been like, no, I'm going to roast it and just do it, do it the right way. So I just don't love that they blamed it on Jonathan. Louis driving the bus. It's his decision. But that duck was not good.
Yeah, it was too tough. Over rested. You said it was tough on the show.
Yeah. The broth was
I don't think that was it.
The broth was underseasoned. I guess that traditionally that, they'll serve the Peking duck and then they bring out broth and you kind of like drink this broth. It just tasted like hot water. It was not good. The rice made no sense. It was just kind of plain white rice. It felt, he had some pickles. The best thing on the plate were the pickles. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I will also say, you guys, I sent a text to Tom and Maze this morning, and it was Hazel called it. Hazel, my 4-year-old, said that duck is overcooked. Like, she called it before it even went out when they were plating. She said that duck is overcooked, but she also likes rare steak. She knew it was overcooked. So
yeah, Hazel, watch out, Kristen. She's coming for your
shit. She's feisty, man.
Yeah, she's got it. Future star. I think Lawrence did lose it on this one. Yeah. Disappointing dish. It happens. And maybe the lack of formal, quote unquote, formal training, maybe that did him in, is that he didn't have the confidence to be like, no, I'm going to roast these ducks, like you said. But he did that Chinese barbecue, had a good story with it. Just the hanging duck that you go into a Chinese or Chinatown, you see the ducks hanging from the windows, had a good story. But that almost made it even more flat, is that this seemed like this was going to be in your wheelhouse, and it didn't come out the way you wanted it. Rhoda did this eggplant dish, which, I mean, in my head, I'm such a child, had so many like dick jokes as I'm thinking as she's making these eggplants, and the way that it was chewy and all this stuff. I was watching this and just being like, man, I can't tell if they like this dish or not. Like, it seemed like it was so unique, is that she sliced it long and had all these like chili vinegar flavors, sweet, sour, and I couldn't get a read if you guys liked it or not.
I think it was mixed. I think it had potential to be such a fabulous dish. But eggplant is so wet, right? Like, it's so wet, and it's just a lot of moisture in there. And so on the menu, it said eggplant omelet. And so I think we all were expecting something different when it came out. It was almost more like, what's the word I'm looking for? Shit. I don't know. It was like an egg batter, and then they'd been fried. And then she put that like vinaigrette all over it. And so any part of it that was crispy, and that they looked beautiful when Seeger flipped them over. Like, I thought, when I saw it later on, I was like, oh my God, if I could have had that. But she pureed the XO sauce, which part of the beauty of XO sauce is all of the textures that are in it, right? And then she drizzled that vinaigrette all over. She had some really nice sauce work, but it was just kind of like, is it supposed to be crispy? Is it supposed to be soggy? Is it like, what's exactly?
Hunter loved it. He said it was a revelation.
Hunter?
Hunter,
oh yeah,
he
loved it. Yep.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. It didn't taste bad. It just was like something that was wet had become crispy, and then they'd put something wet on top of it, and then they'd served it with things that could have been wet or dry. It was like, it was maybe a revelation. I did not revel in it, but yeah.
Was that? We haven't finished the rounds, but was there any dish that had the most variance in the reviews, like the most disagreement? Because that one person saying it's a revelation, and then I kind of felt like some people didn't really care for it. And Kristen said she was all over this dish, really enjoyed it, it seemed.
Yeah, I think that maybe that was it. It was kind of hard to understand. And I think that when she came out, and she was like, the crispy bits, and we were all like, where are the crispy bits, and then the question was, and she was like, well, it's supposed to be soft, so I think she wanted the inside to be soft and the outside to be crispy. And I was sitting right next to the window, and they were definitely all plating pretty early. Like, they weren't, I felt like there wasn't a big, huge push back there to get food on the plate.
What does that tell you?
Fine. It is just that they were all they wanted to make sure their food was perfect. So they were plating a little bit early. They weren't leaving any chance for it to not be perfect, which is a great idea. That it should be perfect. I would rather the temperature be a little off than not get something to the plate.
True. Because that was what Sherry said, was I want to plate early. And I think that kind of bit her in the ass a little bit, was some of the temperatures weren't where it needed to be on the dishes. At least that's how they portrayed it in the edit. I scored it that Sherry won the third round. Lawrence comes up the rear on that one with the duck, and then Rhoda is in second with her eggplant dish. Fourth course, it's coming down to the fourth course, because I have Lawrence winning the second, I have Rhoda winning the first, and I have Sherry winning the third. So it's going to come down to this. I don't know if that was the vibe going into the fourth course for you, but certainly for me as a viewer, I'm saying, all right, this is crunch time. Let's see who pulls out the win here with the best dish. And I ultimately thought that I think Lawrence won this one, but I also think he was so poor on the duck that it didn't even matter. And so I scored this, Sarah.
Oh, God.
I scored this, like 1, 2, and 3 for each. I gave 1 point for the winner, 2 points for the silver, and then 3 points for the bronze on each courses. And I ultimately had my first round after the first watch before they go to judges table, that it was Rhoda on the fourth course came in second and Sherry was in third. And that would have given Rhoda the victory, which would have had 7 points, 8 for Lawrence and 9 for Sherry. But then after watching the edit or the judges table, I moved Sherry into second place and Rhoda in last place on the fourth course, which meant that it was a three-way tie with 8 points. And then I was like, you know what? I can't have it as a tie. And so I actually gave Rhoda the tiebreaker going into the verdict. And I said, all right, I think Rhoda wins. And I have it in my scoring system, 7.5 for Rhoda, 8 points for Lawrence, and 8.5 for Sherry. But it was so close coming down to it that I just don't think Lawrence's, even though the broken cake was, I think, the winner in that fourth course, I don't think it was enough to erase what the duck was in the previous dish.
So this is specifically what I said when I think that they were very nice with their edit. Lawrence comes out and serves the saddest fucking dessert you've ever seen. Number one, the cake was dry. The cake was not, I think he had cooked it the day before. Maybe he had torn, I don't know. The cake was very dry. It was not a great texture. He called it broken birthday cake and then talked about how the white chocolate caramel whatever was supposed to look like it was crying. Like,
Sad.
come on, Lawrence. It essentially what it was is a cake that a pastry chef, that someone who's not a pastry chef would serve. I want you to go back to my English pea cake, okay? I made a cake. I tore it into nice big pieces and I plated it very organically. The same thing he did. Mine just happened to, hit, but it was so sad that you did not feel happy eating it. After hearing to him talk about it, you're like, fuck, I don't want to put this energy in my body right now. It really felt sad. So I don't know.
A heartwarming story. It was my wife. I missed her birthday, I missed the anniversary, and so I'm going to serve a broken, sad dish as my final in the finale. I'm going to make a total Debbie Downer dish.
Yeah,
no,
I actually think that Tom Colicchio was like, when he walked away from the table, Tom was like, bah, bah, bah. Like it was, it was hard. That one, it was like, you couldn't feel excited about it. And if you did, there was so much expectation that this sad dish was going to make you happy. That was like a lot to put on a dish that like, it's so sad, but here, I'm going to give you this dish and it's going to be so over the top that it's going to make you really excited. But the cake was dry. The cake was not right.
Okay, but then the quenelle didn't work on Sherry's dish, and so you're like, oh man, that dessert didn't hit either.
That was okay. So listen, Sherry, when you put something cold on something hot, it obviously melts, right? She should have plated those, put like the porridge or or whatever she was calling it, and put it to the side. That was my favorite of that course. She also didn't have to call it ice cream. I never would have called something ice cream because
you're a hater of ice cream. So that's,
well, no, because if it melts, it's not ice cream, motherfucker. It could be creme anglaise. Excuse my language, but like those are the same things. It could have had charred corn silk cream. She just could have said charred corn silks. And then when she walked out there and it wasn't plated properly, she could have said, and there's a charred corn cream the sweetened cream that you need to stir into the thing. And she probably would have won the show because it was delicious. It had like this really cool, she made her own hominy. She made fresh hominy, cooked it down. It had this really beautiful sweet corn flavor to it. It had Brazil nuts, all the textures. There were so many textures. That was a winning dish that I think that she probably would have won had she changed the wording.
How about that? I mean, this is the Sarah Bradley Latitude School of Cooking, competition cooking, because if you had just called it something different, it would have been a winner. Yeah. And I'm fixated on the quenelle didn't work and how dare you put ice cream in a hot porridge and think that was going to work in your finale dessert. And why didn't you just throw the quenelle in a freezer, and then as soon as you're ready to put it out there, it's nice and cold in a really cold dish, bowl, whatever you want to call it, and have it separate. But then you put it, I don't know, that didn't work for me. And then the Rhoda, the caldereta with short rib, with liver sauce.
Number three across the, I don't know, Lawrence's was bad, but that one was not good. I'm so surprised that they talked about how the beef was good. The piece of beef was good and it was tender and the sauce was delicious. But next to it, it looked like a banquet plate. I'm sorry. It was like banquet 101. It was like a piece of braised short rib with sauce. And then next to it, there were like these little roasted potatoes, these little like oblique cuts of carrots, and a friggin' whole Castle Vetrano olives. Like, it just didn't make sense. It felt like an afterthought, or maybe she had not had time. Maybe there was supposed to be something else on the plate. I'm not sure. The beef was delicious. The sauce was delicious. The veggies were like just kind of living there. Didn't make any sense.
If I had made that for you, Sarah, you'd be like, good job, Tom.
No.
But this is the finale on Top Chef, and you got to cook the best dish of your life in the fourth course, and you do a glorified banquet dish. She obviously won, but man, she was saved by the other two not having a standout finishing move, because if any of those three chefs, if Lawrence or Sherry delivered a knockout punch, I think they're Top Chef. I think they're the Top Chef, because I think the margins were pretty thin going into that final course. And I got to imagine the Tom Colicchio for the final dish could be applying for all of those in the final round, where you're all excited. All right, here's the final round. Let's see what they got. And all three of them seem to have pretty serious mistakes in there. And I kind of flip-flopped between whether Rhoda or Sherry's were the worst dish based on the edits. You said that Sherry was, of the three, your favorite, but still, I don't think you're giving that like an A grade. You'd probably, what?
No, it still wasn't. It wasn't an A grade. I mean, there was potential for it to be, if it came out and she said, I want you to stir this charred corn silk cream into it, because, her porridge also had kind of it hadn't set up the way the others had, but it had tightened. So I don't know. All in all, the food was phenomenal. And it's like, at this level, you're really nitpicking. Like, if I'd gone to any restaurant and had that meal, any of those dishes, I would have been super excited, except maybe the duck. I would have not been happy with the duck. But if I had Lawrence cooking me Peking style duck in his restaurant where he had time to do it, I bet you I would have been blown away. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I think that it really was, you were like nitpicking. You were like having to look for things that you didn't like in some of these dishes, because that's the job, right? Like, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to pick the one that is the most delicious. I think across the board, Rhoda's was probably just the most interesting. That sweet potato dish, man.
You walk away, that's the thing that you remember, right?
I mean, is this comparative to like winning the first challenge in Top Chef and then you win the whole thing? Because she won that first course. I mean, that first course for me was a no-brainer. And I felt like most other people at the table felt that way as well.
So you don't disagree that Rhoda was the Top Chef?
Oh, no. Yeah, no, I think Rhoda was Top Chef. I really wanted my girl to Sherry win. Stephanie and Joe and I, we were all like on the side, like, man, motherfucker better get it, like, I'm rooting for my person. But I think Rhoda's meal was the best one.
Do you turn into like a PR public defender on this, where when Sherry's dish comes up and there might be not the strongest reviews, you go like, actually, I did like the way that the crispiness, do you kind of pipe in as the coach?
So Joe Flem was laughing at me because when the potato dish came out, I thought for sure that this was going to make the cut, but I don't know what's going to make the cut, right? I was like, the dumplings, they're like kind of pillowy, but a few of them are dense. It was like a mixture. It was like some of them had been good and some of them had been bad. I was like, the sauce is a little acidic, my pig ears are a little crunchy. And then like I looked over and Gail was looking at me. I was like, but I would eat this all day, every day. Like, I didn't know, because Yeah, I would have eaten that dish. I would have eaten that dish all day, every day. But at this point, we're like really nitpicking. So yes, I was like, after I said all these kind of like things, and I was like, but I would eat this all day.
This episode is brought to you by Prime. What if you had one more chance with the one that got away?
Sam, you came home.
Based on the best-selling novel from Carly Fortune. Every Year After follows childhood friends Sam and Percy as they reunite in the dreamy, nostalgic lakeside town of Barry's Bay.
Love can be hard to find. So if you're lucky enough to find that person, never let go.
A second chance at first love. Every Year After, now streaming only on Prime.
Do you hear that? Sounds like breakfast is ready. Because Quaker's coming in hot with morning nutrition. 100% whole grain oats and a good source of fiber to fuel the rhythm of your morning and kickstart your day. And that sounds absolutely delicious. Fuel to start whatever's next. Quaker, official sponsor of FIFA World Cup 26.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail.
Hi, this is Zoe Deutsch.
And Nick Robinson. Our brand new movie, Voicemails for Isabel, is all about those little moments that feel like the universe is looking out.
Feeling homesick, then your sister calls.
Hearing that perfect song exactly when you need it. Sometimes life rigs things in our favor, like learning about your new favorite rom-com, Voicemails for Isabel. Only on Netflix, June 19th.
Looking back on this episode, what is the takeaway from being in a finale on Top Chef? For you, Sara, how cool was that? And Gail and Kristen and Tom and the rest of you at the table, any other scenes at that table that really stand out to you from that experience?
You know, this is what I took away from this. And this is what I've taken away from competition cooking as a whole, whether it's Top Chef or Chopped or Tournament or any of them. When you have a judge that has done it, it is a completely different ballgame. Like when you have people that are judging you that have actually had to participate and compete and they know what it's like, I think the judging is better by people that have done it, you know, like they were, you know, down there kind of talking about like, well, why wouldn't they do this? And it was like, because they're in the back plating for 16 people with every bit of emotion and pressure on them. And yeah, they couldn't have done this, you know, like, yeah, she could have quenelled all the ice cream ahead of time, but that would have meant somebody had to go in the freezer and get the sheet tray ready. And I saw that Sherry was coming out of like a Paco jet to like you put the stuff in and you freeze it and then you whip the ice cream inside the machine. So those little, those metal banes she was using, the Paco jet. So you freeze the base in there. And then the next day you would come in and you would whip that in a machine. And then normally you would put it back in the freezer so it could set up. I just don't think that she had time to do that. And that's why her ice cream was not perfectly set. So like, you know, it would have been great if she could have done that, but there just wasn't the time for it. So that is my takeaway, is that you want people who have done it to judge you because they get it.
Did you like the seating where you got to sit at that table where you're right there in front of the judges? That's pretty cool. Right in front of the chefs. Yeah. I
got to sit next to Tom Colicchio. And did anybody notice anything special about Tom?
2 earrings? What?
Yeah, he got his ears pierced that morning.
That morning?
That day before, he was like, you don't think I might get my ears pierced? And I was like, really? And Kristen said something like, you won't do it. And he showed up the next day on set and he had like 2 ear piercings. And they were super cool. Like Tom is so cool, man. He's so suave. Not every grown man can pull off like a double ear piercing. And so the whole time I was sitting next to him and every time I would turn and look, I would like see his ear pierced.
When I saw him at the premiere watch party here in Uptown, I remember seeing his earrings and being like, am I dreaming right now? Did he ever have earrings on Top Chef? Because I don't remember him having earrings. And then he showed up in the flesh with earrings. And maybe that was a callback to, hey, when I was here at the finale a few months ago, I got my ears pierced. And not just one.
2. 2 in 1 hole. He said he used to have it when he was younger, and he just like really wanted to go back to it. And we all thought there's no way that man's going to show up with pierced ears. And he did. And they looked cool. They looked really cool. I don't know that my father could pierce his ears. I mean, my father's older than Tom. I don't know if he could do it and like pull it off, but Tom, of course. But,
where did he? Cool is it Asheville? Did he get it, or like in the mountains, or did he do it in Charlotte at South Park Mall or something?
I don't know. Like on top of Grandfather Mountain, he did not have any pierced ears. And the next day, he had pierced. No, actually, it was. I think it was 3 days that it took us to film, because I think we went to Grandfather Mountain that day, and then they went and they did all their shopping, and then the next day we went in to like see them cooking and prepping and stuff like that, and then the next day was our like get fancy day. Yeah.
I had a couple notes here on the episode that it wasn't part of the competition necessarily, but tugging at the heartstrings when they brought in the sisters and the spouse. Wow. I got the feels for sure because they just set that up perfectly, and whether they knew or not, you clearly they were like surprised when their dishes on the table. How did you prepare? Wait, wait, who is here? And then they reveal that the sisters are there, and then Lawrence's wife was there, and this is a weird season. I'm not gonna sit here and completely stump for Charlotte as like this is the greatest Top Chef season, but it was different. There wasn't this gap between the finale and the rest of the competition. And so while I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, they didn't see, I don't think they saw them for the entire time because you get to go back home before your finale, Sarah. Like that is a very big difference between past seasons.
I don't know if you did. I don't know if like in season 21 with Buddha and them, if they got to go back home. I feel like they stopped it after COVID and it hasn't come back. Because think if you send somebody home and they go home and they get COVID, you can't bring them back to compete. Like you used to just show up for a couple days before ahead of time and you were in quarantine. Now you show up for like well over a week so that if you were sick, they could quarantine you before the show started.
So didn't they go to last year? So at Destination Canada, they did the finale in, wasn't it in,
was it like in just another part of Canada?
Maybe, or am I thinking of when they went to Italy? That was 2 years ago. Or was that last year? I want to say that was last year, only because they did that when they went for the Olympics. Didn't they go to Viva Milano? Yeah, last year they went to Milan for the final rounds of the competition. So I thought that they went home and then they got to be with their family. Then they traveled to Europe for the finale. Is how I maybe I'm.
I can't
the listeners
remember.
Can correct me on this, but I thought that this was unique that they didn't really go anywhere for the finale. They went to Lake Norman, they went to Asheville, but this felt like to me a new chapter in Top Chef that they actually didn't go fly somewhere for the finale. Like they did, was it 2 years ago? They went to the Caribbean, like Curacao or something like that. And this year,
but I don't know
just
that necessarily means that they're going home in between.
True.
I mean, I know for Kentucky, we went home. And we like went home and they were like, go home, work on your dish. And then like you were home for like 2 days and they were like, all right, what's your dish going to be? Like, we need you to dial it in and da, 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 da. But I don't know that means they're going home because in France, when we were in England, they just put us on a plane and we went to France and we cooked like right then. So I don't know.
Those tugging at the heartstrings on that. Hello Sailor is awesome. We take the kids to Hello Sailor on Lake Norman, and it's like a mid-century modern beach restaurant. Like you feel like you're in California listening to Beach Boys when you go to this restaurant in Charlotte, like on the lake. It's very different. It's from the Kindred group. Awesome. Highly recommend that. When they had that last meal with their family coming together. Grandfather Mountain looked cold, was it? It seemed like one of those situations where in the sun you're fine, but like as soon as you get out in the shade on Grandfather Mountain, you're freezing. So I didn't know if you had any notes about the hike up to Grandfather Mountain?
Well, we were in a little van and we were like, I mean, it is up there. It's a drive. I don't mind heights. I actually like them. So I was like totally into it.
Was that part of the thing was like, hey, Sarah, we're going to be walking across a bridge or in between mountains.
No one
Are you cool with that, Sarah? And you'd be like, no. All right, well, then we're going to call, so-and-so to be here.
No, I was good. They don't care if you're afraid of stuff. They don't care. You're going to do what they want. Yeah. Grandfather Mountain was fabulous. I mean, we had so much fun, and it was fine to get to. It was not fine. It was fun to get to like be with Joe and with Stephanie. And I'll tell you what wasn't fun. Tommy. I'll tell you what wasn't fun. Tommy, right? Yeah, Tommy. Joe and Stephanie and I, after, they didn't even show us. We stayed around for the judging. You maybe got a little glimpse of us in the background. We stayed for the judging. We were behind like the sisters and the wife, and they were all like locked arms, just like, think, not only have they been gone away from their people, like their people have been gone from them, but they have had to wait around for like weeks to find out, are they still in it? What are they doing today? How is the competition going? Now all of a sudden they're like living in the moment where everybody else has had like 6 to 8 weeks to kind of adjust to the shooting and the filming and the stand around and wait and the excitement of like learning. And you could just feel like, I could feel their energy. Like they were so, and when they announced Rhoda, the other sister and Lawrence's wife just hugged Rhoda's sister. They were so happy for her. Like it really is. I mean, it is an experience, and to get to share it with someone you love is really cool. Like I was so happy when my mom and Austin got to come to Macau. That probably was one of my favorite moments, was standing behind them and like watching someone
feeling that
get announced.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've never had that feeling. I've had to stand next to the person and be like, oh, I'm so happy for you. I am happy for them sometimes. But after all that was over, they were like, okay, Joe, Stephanie, Sarah, we need you guys to come back to set and film. And we were like, what? And they were like, it was like 12:30 in the morning, and they wanted to come back to do an interview with us, which they never used, but that's okay.
I was just going to say, what are you talking about? We didn't see any interview.
They didn't use it. They barely even showed us back there hanging out and chilling. But Joe did give like a wow. He was pumped when Rhoda won. He was like, wow. He was excited. So, I mean, I was excited for whoever won. I didn't care. I think all of it is so great. But yeah, I don't know.
I love Joe.
Oh my God. He is fun. He's fun. He's like South Side Chicago fun. And I just ate at his restaurant in Chicago. I took the girls with me, and it was a fabulous meal. And like the service, they came out and they were like, we're going to take care of you. They were like, but just, what do the kids want to eat and drink? Because we're going to go ahead and get that banged out for you really quick. And that is a sign of like,
oh yeah,
top notch. We're going to take care of them so we can come back and make sure you enjoy your meal. Butter
I
noodles
love what
on the
he
table.
And Adrian are doing on Chef's Cup Pod, and it's his personality really shines through in that, and he's funny. He looks great. Like he's now like a hunk in a way that like he clearly has been like lifting, and I've been watching him, and just from afar, I'm like, hey, Joe Flam, you're made for this world. You are awesome, and I'm glad that his personality has shined through, and he's just great, and I think the world of him. So I'm happy to see that he was brought back for the finale, and he's still part of the Top Chef family and doing great stuff. And now James Beard, restaurateur in the business, and just shout out to Joe. And that must have been cool with him and Stephanie, just being able to be there for the finale of Top Chef together, because they've,
they go way back. I mean, he used to work for her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they both were like, Sarah, we're going to go get a workout in. You want to go? And I was like, no, I'm going to lay in my bed with no children, and I'm going to sleep. I'm going to eat. I'm going to eat pastries. I think Joe brought me, he like texted me and he's like, hey, there's some beignets at your door. He had like gone to work out, and then he'd left a bag of beignets at my like
what a guy.
He's what a nice gentleman.
Yeah.
I went, I got those beignets, I put on some trashy something on Netflix, and I laid there in the morning until my call time. It was beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
I think it's a beautiful thing what we did on this this season of Top Chef. Sara, this was great. I really loved having you on and going through this season. And I remember you coming in and after the finale, and you were like, "I'm not going to tell you. Obviously, can't tell you, but I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to ruin it for you." But this was a great season of Top Chef. Like this is the finale is going to be great. And as I'm watching, I remember thinking back to that conversation with you, and I was so excited to do this season together, and I did not quite realize what I was in for when the fantasy league. So,
will you remind us of the scores real quick?
I literally, you know what? As I'm sitting here, I actually didn't do the scoring system this week. So you know what? We're going to do this live. I'm going to do this live for your satisfaction. I'm going to compute this live onto the show. This is no joke. I'm adding 25 for Rhoda. I'm adding, I mean, what do I do? Top 3? Do I go, do I just do 25 for Rhoda? Because they didn't get eliminated. There wasn't like a middle or a bottom. I'm going to go 25 for Rhoda, unless you think of, maybe I'll do 2 points for middle for both of the other two, Sherry and Lawrence. Unless we don't have official scoring. So like,
I don't know.
209 to 44. I also had I was not negative the last 3 weeks here. So,
you know, it's funny. Somebody put on like, there's like a Reddit. If you love Top Chef enough to be watching this podcast or to listening to this podcast, you should also be on the Reddit, like the subreddit for Bravo Top Chef. There's 2 of them. One of them is like, I definitely love a lot more, and I've been on it for years. And somebody will say something like, well, we know Sarah Bradley creeps around in here, and I'll just pop up and be like, I'm still here, and go away. But there was one about like somebody asking about, you know, the draft, and someone made the comment, you know, they were like, was Sarah lying? Did she know the whole time? And we didn't. But somebody made the comment, they were like, you know, I really felt like towards the end, Sarah was, you know, really paying a lot more attention to her chefs. And I replied, that's because I was the only one with people left in the competition. Like, obviously, we were going to talk about my chefs more.
Yeah.
And I just brought that up so that I could rub it in your face a little bit more.
Okay. We haven't talked about this. I noticed that you weren't as glowing about Rhoda during this season because I think you were trying not to be like tipping your hand that you knew that she won. Because whenever I brought up Rhoda and how good she was or this dish, I felt an energy from you of like, shit, I can't really say too much positive about Rhoda because then it'll give it away.
You know,
was this hard for you? Like,
I was so shocked when she went home. I think that was the thing. I was like, oh my God, like what has happened? And then we see at the end, like I saw at the end, like I knew now who, like once we had gone in there and I started to watch some of the beginning episodes, I knew who Seeger. I still thought that was Brandon at the end. Throughout the whole time in my head, I thought it was Brandon. And I knew it was Anthony. But then when I saw Seeger get eliminated, I was like playing it through my head, like, well, he must have come back, but da-da-da-da-da. But then I didn't know if all those people ended because on my season, my first season of Top Chef, they brought all of the contestants back out and they let us choose from all of the contestants. And
so those were the last 3 that got eliminated, Jonathan, Seeger, and Anthony. Yeah.
But I thought maybe they kept them all there because they're not flying to some destination. So maybe everybody stayed and they all got to pick their buddy instead of just getting, you know, the top 3, like it's kind of become tradition to do. So every time it would happen, it was like, I had no clue what was going on. But maybe, I don't know, maybe I was afraid to like really love Rhoda. But we also have to remember Rhoda was gone for part of the competition. She wasn't there for part of it. She was just in Last Chance Kitchen.
But you had known that she won Last Chance Kitchen because she won the whole thing. So like, as we're reviewing Last Chance, you're like, yeah, Rhoda's doing a pretty good job. I mean, I was probably insecure in my head. And the other thing that I want to talk about real quick before we go is I think Bravo and Survivor and all these other competition shows have a real problem on their hands with the prediction markets.
Oh, I know. It's
Rhoda was the odds-on favorite throughout the like even from March on whatever Polymarket, Kalshi, whatever you want to call it. These prediction markets had Rhoda winning like 80-90% of the bets in like before the season started. So even when she was in Last Chance Kitchen, it didn't drop. So there wasn't a lot of live action on these prediction markets. When she got sent home and had to go into the losers bracket, you didn't see any drop. And maybe that's because there just really isn't that many people betting on this, and that the volume of betting, there really isn't a market for Top Chef. And so whoever was getting that information and placing those bets, it seemed like, for me, it kind of did let the air out a little bit on this season, because someone had sent me, hey, did you see that Rhoda is kicking ass in the prediction markets and she's an LCK? And I'm like, man, Top Chef, Bravo, Tournament of Champions, any Survivor, any of these, Bachelor, Bachelorette, they have to figure out a way to keep these things airtight. And I don't know what they do.
I just don't know that you can. I mean, in this day and age, I would guess that the Top Chef set is like, of all the people involved with the PAs, the audio, the grip, the camera, like all of those people, I mean, well over 100 people. And that's just the ones that we see. Like, we don't see the people back in video. Like, we don't see like all the behind the scenes people. You know, the fact that the culinary team has probably 10 people that roll in after a challenge and clean up, and, you know, they're all hearing what's going on. I don't know how they keep it. I am glad that we were so adamant about the blind draft, because it would not have been, if you'd gone on the show and you knew who was there, we would have had to let people draft for us, and they would not have done as well as I did. So,
well, Southern Sides, I think, was the 4th episode. So someone had mentioned, well, when they drafted, had they already finished up the production? And the answer is no. Like, when I went, I think there was 3 eliminations done. And so the word on the street, I would never have known that Rhoda won the whole thing, or you would have never have known that Rhoda won the whole thing, because at that time we were only 3 episodes into the production, and we taped before I went. We have the receipts. And so I had no idea who was left in the competition. And even if you did know that Jossie was eliminated, I wouldn't have drafted Jossie 2nd overall if I had known that he got eliminated, because at that point he was, I think, out of the competition. So the point is, we got to do a blind draft next year. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the way to go. And I hope that it isn't as predictable. And I'm going to be like, Steele, I'm going to send some intern. I'm going to try to get someone to get into your big board room and kind of get your, that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to try to do some reconnaissance.
Who wants to be Tom? Tom, you can have 20 interns. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to talk a bunch of shit, and the next year you're going to kill me. You can have 20 interns, though. I don't know.
That's what it's all about. It's the redemption arc. Okay. I'm going to be back next year. And blind draft, I'm going to get a war room you've never seen. The kind of, Maze is having fun with this. I'm Chet Holmgren. Chet, our guy Chet did not have a good playoffs. Sarah,
I'm Wimby. I loved all the pictures of like Chet, and he was like a little baby, and Wimby was like holding him and swinging him around.
Rocking the baby.
I mean, you know, my husband has become a Thunders. You know, he's a fan. And I think it's because there's so many UK players. But please. Maze is going to Photoshop says that.
He's going to do a Photoshop of me as a baby and you just rocking me. So you got to look out for that. And I'm gonna put it up on my bulletin board.
Before we go, I also have to talk about this Top Chef reference. Yeah, dude, it is bizarre. I mean, I obviously typed in my own name to check myself out, and I was like, damn. I did not win that many challenges in my head. I mean, I know I didn't win that many challenges. I know I was never like somebody who was like gunning for every challenge or, you know, quick fire win. I just have a different way that I like to play the game. But
so Top Chef reference is Carly Levitz posted an amazing database live. You can go check it out right now at packyourknives.com. She just wrote up a big post about this. And the link is in the post, but she did a Tableau, which is a database visualization program that you can look up cookbooks by every Top Chef competitor. You can look at how many Last Chance Kitchen wins they have, or Quickfire wins, the percentage. She has her own metric, that the NPT metric that is like OPS in baseball, that ranks every Top Chef contestant of all time against each other. And so there's just an abundance of information there, drafting off of Baseball Reference, Sports Reference, Basketball Reference, which is the go-to place for sports statistics. She has done this for Top Chef.
I love that she has the GOAT tab. Like, you can go into the GOAT tab and you can put in your own requirements for, like, they at least competed in this many competitions with this many. You can like pull it all out and then see like what people hit your criteria. I would be lying if I didn't, spend at least, I don't know, I would say 30 to 45 minutes on there. Like, I was looking at my friends. I started looking at people that I compete against on Tournament of Champions. Like, I started typing those in, like trying to like find out. I searched Antonia, like the whole thing.
Where you rank amongst your peers.
Yeah. It's cool. I mean, I don't rank that great. But I don't have a huge win percentage. I have lots of tops and lots, and wins, but I have more because I have cooked in a significant more amount of challenges than a lot of people. So maybe that should go for something. I think you should combine my 2 seasons together, Carly.
I think if you're an NBA player, are you Charles Barkley? Like, funny, badass, didn't win the whole thing, but had been to the finals and wildly known as one of the best ever.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that.
I mean, I would love to be Charles Barkley. By my performance this year, I am probably a guy who never made it into the NBA based on how well I did in Top Chef this year. So,
or who's like a guy that, I don't know. I'm not going to start picking on you. We won't pick on you too much, Tommy.
Well, we'll have. I think we got to get Rhoda or the finalists on the pod. So we'll stick around for that. We're going to do that in the coming weeks to try to break everything down. It's been a real pleasure, Sarah, and I can't wait to keep this going. And we're gonna go listen to Track Your Knives to find out who won the Freight House dinner.
No, who's coming?
And it came down to the one final point going into the finale episode. So it is a serious competition, the power rankings. So can't wait to have everyone listening to this go into the Top Chef reference and just have a blast. Go do that. Go listen to Track Your Knives. Go subscribe to Pack Your Knives, our Substack at packyourknives.com, and get all of our archives. If you want to go back into past seasons and listen to our breakdown of Sarah Bradley's 2 seasons onto the show, it's all on our website. So go check it out. And thank you so much to our audience. We love having the platform to do this. And thank you for all of the support, everyone out there. And thank you, Sarah and Maze, for making this. This like, I have so much fun doing this with you.
It was a good time. I have really, really enjoyed it. I have one request for an off-season pod. I want you to pick your top 3 places Top Chef should go and some reasons why. And then I'm going to pick mine. And they have not announced where the next season of Top Chef is. And I got some reasons that I think people should go to certain places. I want to know where you think they're going.
Yeah. Look, they came to my city, and I can't say I won't put that number 1 is come back. You did the finale here. Come back to Charlotte. Let's just make this the home base for all of the seasons. No, we'll do it. Because I know people are clamoring for a certain city in the South that has not had a hosting gig. But I'll keep digging into the pool of Top Chef cities, and we'll see what we do. But for Sarah Bradley, I'm Tom Haberstroh, and this is Pack Your Knives.
Good sleep is everything. That's why Ollie's Science Bag Support is made with a blend of melatonin and L-theanine for both kiddos and grown-ups. So when your mind won't switch off, you've got something that can help. Your racing thoughts and restless nights won't stand a chance. Find Ollie Sleep Solutions for the whole family at ollie.com. That's OLLY.com.
This Father's Day, do more with Dad and spend less with low prices guaranteed at the Home Depot. Get him fired up with a new grill and accessories, like the Next Grill 5-burner for just $299, so you can spend more time together while he becomes the grill master he was always meant to be. Or build memories with savings on top brand power tools so you can tackle projects side by side. Gift more and do more together this Father's Day with help from the Home Depot. Exclusions apply. See homedepot.com/price match for details.
Hey, it's Tom here. It is time for the 5th installment of Savor Charlotte Edition, presented by Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority. We're joined by Justin Hazelton, a groundbreaking mixologist from Charlotte whose bar was listed on Esquire's top 15 bars in America. It's called Lorem Ipsum, and it's known as the first listening bar in Charlotte. Justin was born and raised here in the Queen City by parents who worked in the medical industry. And though Justin now owns one of the top mixology programs and spaces in the region, he actually got his start in, of all things, cardiology. Justin has worked the bar at Top Chef alum Jamie Lynch's old restaurant, Five Church in Charlotte, and James Beard's semifinalist chef Greg Collier, who you might have seen on Top Chef Carolinas for the Southern Sides episode. Justin reveals he will be expanding operations soon, and you got to make a stop at Lorem Ipsum next time you're in Charlotte. Enjoy the conversation with Justin Hazelton. Justin Hazelton.
What's up, man?
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's great to have you here. You know, February 5th was when we met at the Savor Charlotte event at the James Beard platform, and we went out and we got these it was the pickle martini at Pastis.
Pastis, that was amazing.
Because I'm in the presence of like a bartender connoisseur, bar manager, and you were like, we gotta try these. And so it was I think we ordered a couple of them, maybe
too many. First of all, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
for sure. And yeah, it was great meeting you in New York. That was just a great time. It's like New York rolled out the red carpet, you know, in a way. Even outside of that, I mean, all the cool things I did out there. But Pastis was a highlight for sure. The burger, that pickle martini. They know how to do it. Yeah.
And you did the beverage program at that event, and you made the Uptown Cornball, which I love. Great. You tend to do this. You're the bar manager and proprietor behind Lorem Ipsum here in Charlotte, just down the street off of Central at the Refuge Hotel. So it was a real treat to actually get to know you, and I hope the people out there will appreciate what you're doing here in Charlotte, and not just what you have here in Charlotte, but what you're building. So first of all, congratulations on being named Esquire magazine, one of the best bars in America, on that list in 2025. After opening in 2023, in 2 years, get named to the Esquire list. That must have been wild.
Yeah, it was wild. It was affirming, you know. So I guess I won't say wild. It was really affirming, and it felt really good, especially as we're growing. Like you know, Lorem Ipsum was built as almost like an incubator concept. We're trying it out. We're still building and growing, and for it to be named one of the best bars in America, and we're still like, we're not even in our final form. It's kind of like, all right, let's keep going. Yeah, for sure.
Affirming, and I think for a lot of people, they might not realize, okay, it's not just a bar, it's a listening bar, which is, you're blending the two concepts of like, you want to have great drinks and great music, but also just an all-encompassing great vibe, right?
Indeed. We focus on the experience from an audio perspective. We built that around the drink. And I think that's important for almost anything that you're consuming now. Well, always, but even more so now. So, I knew when we first built Lorem Ipsum that not just making cocktails, but bringing that other experience into it. Curating sound, curating music, and that environment is super important. And as you see, it's taken off across the world, so it makes sense.
Where did you get the idea to do this?
Just like a lot of other folks, so just maybe slightly ahead of some folks here in Charlotte, just got inspired by the Japanese jazz kisses. I thought they were an excellent idea. I thought it made perfect sense to focus, to slow down in a world that kind of is going too fast, overstimulation, and really minimizing and focusing on aspects. And in this case, it's music, but I think we should do more things to kind of like maybe 3 things at one time.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the jazz kisses in Japan, it just everything's done right.
So explain to the audience what that means.
For sure. So the jazz kisses essentially in Japan they were tea lounges essentially where they're listening to great jazz music. And the listening bar concept came from that because in these places, it was kind of quiet, very good sound systems, very focused, intentional space. Once again, a great musical experience you would get. And then as it kind of grew, go to places in London and Argentina where they would have more cocktails because I think it was more so of a tea thing, like I said.
Yeah.
Cafe experience. And then when they tapped into the cocktail situation, I think that's when it took off. I think that's when a listening bar concept kind of really started taking off. And it just made perfect sense. All the detail that goes into a cocktail or a drink, and then you see all the detail that goes into making great sound. I think, they just really paired well together. And then I got really inspired off of it. And not just inspired by the sound, but how those spaces look. There was a lot of attention to making a vibe. And I think sometimes that word is used a little too much, but just making a really cool experience that you want to be inside of. It feels almost cozy in that space or focused. And I knew I wanted to build an aesthetic around kind of that inspiration that I got there as well. Yeah.
Was it the first one in Charlotte, listening bar?
Technically speaking, I think it was the first one. Yeah, that called itself a listening bar. To give props to, an OG in Charlotte when Soul Gastro was on Central Boulevard,
yep.
I could definitely say that would be a listening bar-esque.
I remember going a Friday night, DJ's playing. I'm eating sushi, music, and the energy was unlike any place in Charlotte I had been to.
Yeah, and that place was definitely a big inspiration for me.
And that bar downstairs, the cocktail lounge,
20, I think it was 22 or something like that. Or I don't
it
know
was also like a really cool experience that they really felt intentional about. We want people to walk in here and feel like it's a transformative experience. Like you're not on Central Avenue anymore. You're in this cozy sensory experience.
Exactly. So, some things are to be called specifically listening bar. There are rules to them. And as that is our brand, that's who we are, Laura Mitch from Listening Bar. And as we grow, we become even better and better at giving that better listening experience. That's where we're growing into. I guess it's a good segue. We're expanding and we're in the new space. We're going to have, actual, like a real listening room in it.
Okay.
With primo sound. And as I grow as a mixologist and a bar manager and a beverage operator, a business owner, we get better at the drinks, we get better at systems, so we also could grow with the sound. So I'm just excited about that expansion and everything.
I'm imagining like walking into like a guitar shop and then there's like a standalone acoustically just a perfect place to go listen and hear what you're playing.
Exactly.
You're gonna have that at this venue.
Absolutely. There is a guitar shop on Central that has a room like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is that's exactly what we want to do. We want to have a place of focus, a place where you really can listen to that song, that experience, in as best quality as you possibly can have. And sometimes I believe, that experience is in your car. Low-key, you have 5 or 6 speakers all the way around you. You have good bass if you have a good car, and you have this kind of focused listening experience. And I think you should be able to do that outside of your car too,
Yeah.
Or outside of a studio,
Because so much of the American music experience just in general is like just throw something on Spotify and listen to it in your AirPods or whatever it is.
Yep.
But there's a communal aspect to listening to an album where you're with your buddies, you're with your people, you're sitting down and you're enjoying this album together while catching up.
Yeah.
Your Lorem Ipsum is a third space that feels like you want to be there with your people.
Absolutely.
You know?
And at the same time, we also like to make space for the introverts and the people who want to sit in the cut and, not have that communal experience. But we push for that. I love the fact that even if you aren't necessarily doing it with others, like you all are like high-fiving, but you all are having this experience together, the introvert and the extrovert in the space. So, like I said, as we're growing, we're focusing on how making space for both of those type of people in a new expansion.
So why Charlotte? Like, what's your story in Charlotte? You grew up here, and so the idea of you having your place in Charlotte, that's got to have an extra meaning to you.
Yeah, it means a lot. I was raised here in Charlotte. I'm a military brat, so I was born in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Moved up and down the East Coast until at 7. We landed here, and I've been here since I was 7 years old, and I love Charlotte. I watched Charlotte grow. I've everything that I've turned into as a person, I've kind of learned here. So when it's time, when I've I guess come to prominence, what do? Leave? No, I think it makes perfect sense to see this thing grow, and I think the city deserves that respect as well. I'm happy to build this here, and I just go away from the notion that some people think that you should go somewhere else to get on. I say, especially if you say your city is small or not as fast as a bigger city, that means you should fully dominate then, and then go to the next one. So I think
go to the final boss and
go to the final boss and then go to New York or whatever. Yeah. But if that's your perspective, I don't even look at it like that.
Right.
I look at Charlotte as a distinctive city. I think Charlotte has personality. I just think sometimes you got to peel back a few layers to get to that and get through some nonsense and minutia. But yeah, I think I love Charlotte, and I'm proud to build my first location here.
Your journey was not linear.
No.
So as I was sitting down and learning more about Justin Hazelton, I realized you started going to school for cardiology.
Yeah. I thought I would be a heart doctor. I really did. I was like, that's it, So I was inspired, of course. My dad is in non-invasive cardiology, and I just saw that. I grew up with that's all I saw. My mom's a nurse, so that's all I saw, and I was like, okay, what's the next? I guess as a teenager, I was like, what's the next progression of this? And I was like, I want to be a thoracic surgeon. I want to be that's what I wanted to do. So my dad even helped me out getting a job too young in the hospital. So I started as an EKG tech in the hospital. I was 17, about to be 18 years old. I was going to school, and during the day, and then going to the hospital at night. And I did that for years, and I moved up in that field, and then I got burned out, and then I realized I was doing it for the wrong reasons, and I realized I was following something that I didn't really care about, or it was, it was more about money or position or status. And then when you don't really have the right reasons, when you go into something, they start falling apart when pressure hits. And I got burnt out, and I just dropped it all, to be honest with you. When I went through that phase, that burnout, I always had a side job in the restaurant industry. And all thing that was left at that time period was my server job. And then, with no identity, with no real trajectory forward, I was just kind of like floating and like lost, like in the restaurant world. And then I saw these bottles and I saw a bar, and I was just like, this seems cool. And then,
is there any interaction between cardiology and the medicine, like medical science, that you infuse in your, like, is there any part of your brain that feels like, I feel like I'm good at this because I studied, not that you.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's first of all, that's an amazing question, right? And I'll tell you, I'll give you two reasons why. Firstly, I remember one day, I had a patient who passed away, and it was someone I was talking to the day before, and then they were gone the next day. I was doing EKGs on them consistently, I guess every couple hours, and then the next day I came in and they were gone. Matter of fact, I think I had to do an EKG on them because they were gone to see if their organs, their heart was still working, or whatever. And the same day, that same night, I had to work at this restaurant. And someone was mad because we didn't have a meatball on the pasta, and it was just like I couldn't. It was like I couldn't compute it. It was just like, you're tripping about this, and I watched their family like they took it pretty well, you know. So the pressure of the medical field going into the high pressure of the restaurant industry, it didn't affect me the same. I could take levels of pressure that was happening in the restaurant, like it rolled off my shoulders. It was nothing to me.
It was light work
it was nothing.
When you're in hospitals and you're tending to people who are on life support or whatnot.
Yeah.
Having any sort of stress and there is stress in a restaurant, workplace.
But it ain't life or death. You know, I tell my teams, I'm like, this is important, but this is not. This is starch and sugar and fermentation, and they're going to be all right. Because I've seen the difference. The other side of it is, my days were 10 and 12 hours long, and I would go into shifts that was 6 hours, and the days would go by because of the constant busyness. The days would flash by in the restaurant industry. So I was like, wow, it's like I wasn't even working almost. Like I remember like this.
You're not watching the clock. It's not ticking by.
Everything was so fast for me. And I love that. And then BPMs. So my whole life was based on BPMs, beats per minute. And then I'm running a listening bar, and it's all about BPMs, and it's all about, pattern and pattern recognition. And it was just like, oh man, look at this. It's almost like I was like secretly trained or something for this. Like I was perfectly made to deal with this pressure, pattern, structure, all that type of stuff. And then of course in the music, BPM. So
when did it hit you? Like when did it hit you? Like this is what I need to be doing. Like because you said you were lost, you're floating around.
Yeah,
that kind of connotes that you were aimless or you didn't have your footing into something.
Yeah.
When did you find that footing? I
found that footing when I thought I found that footing when I started making money. But no, I just screwed off that money. It was just server quick money, bartending quick money. But then when I got behind a real bar, because I always looked at service, even when I was in places that weren't that nice, I always prioritized really good service. And even from the bar, I always wanted to get fine dining style service. Even from a bar perspective, I never was interested in like quick bartending. So when I got a chance to be at a bar, when I could actually give really good service and I could actually go deeper into it, it was like, oh my God, this is it. I found like
it's not transactional.
Yeah, it didn't feel exactly. It didn't feel transactional. It felt like, oh man, we're doing this money thing at the end. Like, okay, it kind of messed the vibe up a little bit. And getting I think in any industry, definitely the food and beverage industry, getting lost in the shuffle of it for me is a good thing. The transaction is kind of a distraction, and you're falling in love with the process and the interaction. So when I found that on the bar, and that's when I was like, okay, this is it, and I want to sink my teeth into it, and I want to learn everything about it, and yeah, all of it. So that's
where was that?
I was at Five Church. Yep, I was at a little bar upstairs at Five Church.
And Jamie Lynch was a part of that at that point? Yeah.
Yep.
So Top Chef's Jamie Lynch at Five Church.
Yep.
And then you also worked at Sophia's Lounge, is that?
Yep, Sophia's. That was after it. I became a bar manager there. And I became a manager there at Five Church. Helped them do Five Church Atlanta back in the day. And then when I came back from Five Church Atlanta, Sophia's Lounge.
Yeah.
And then
I think I've been to the Five Church in Atlanta. I think I've
Yeah,
that's the stuff written on the ceilings, right?
Yeah, same thing over there.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're together anymore or whatever. I don't know about all that stuff. This is before all that stuff happened.
Yeah.
So then Sophia's Lounge, I had the opportunity of managing and helping open that that space as well. So that was cool. That was interesting. But an awesome experience. So yeah, that kind of set the tone for me. And then I got even more hungry after that. I feel like that just kind of gave me like a little wet my whistle, but it was time to like level up after there.
Yeah. So then you get with the Colliers, Sabrina and Greg Collier at Lee and Louise.
Yep.
And I hope they're bringing it back, but I don't.
I hope so.
It would be amazing. But like you've been rubbing shoulders with James Beard nominated chefs and been in kitchens with acclaimed chefs. What's your experience about Charlotte as a city? Like, Top Chef is here, Michelin Guide is here, your bar is now recognized in top publications. You're from Charlotte, so what is your feeling about the city of Charlotte on its come up?
I'm feisty about it. I'm very forward about the fact that about damn time. And of course we're not on the level. We're not New York City. We're not LA. We're not New Orleans, because we don't have as much as many places. But the places that we do have, you got to put some respect in our name. And we're figuring out even faster and even quicker how to make that experience even better and better, and to make more of those here in Charlotte. So back to what I was saying about how fiery and forward I am about it is, to be a bar tender, to be a mixologist, to be a bar owner in this city, due to it being a controlled state, you have to go hard. You have to make your own flavors. You can't get that bottle that somebody else can easily get in other places. So that makes you better. More pressure makes you nicer. You know. And in these results that you're seeing, you're just seeing the beginning of it. There are a lot of amazing chefs they're actually the sous chef, and they're about to come, and is another wave coming. There's some mixologists that are coming out. There's another wave coming, and what has happened is the door just cracked open, and now I think you're about to see a flood happen, and it's going to be really good for the consumer and everything else. So.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But I'm not even from Charlotte, but there's a sense of pride. I've been here for a decade now, and there's a sense of pride that we're not the little sister of Atlanta. We're not baby Atlanta. We have our own identity. So is Lorem Ipsum contributing to that in ways that you wanted, and like you feel like, oh, there might not be as many places as New Orleans or Atlanta or New York, but this is what you want it to be, a staple of culture here in North Carolina.
Absolutely. I'll start with myself. When you ask me, I am from Charlotte. I am born in North Carolina. I am from Charlotte. If you're asking what does Charlotte look like and what does an identity of Charlotte look like, you can use me. I think I'm pretty cool. I think
I can vouch.
Hey.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of times when people see something really cool or really exceptional in a place that they don't think it should be there, they try to tie that identity to somewhere else. This is just like,
oh yeah,
don't do that. Wait, don't do that. This is Charlotte. And if you can do that and continuously tie something dope to this city, without saying, "Oh, this is very Brooklyn-like." This
feels very like Atlanta, circa 1994.
Stop doing that. Yeah, like this is Charlotte. We're not copying anybody else. I'm not jocking off anybody. If I'm inspired by a Japanese kisa, sure, but this is Charlotte.
Well, like Kobe Bryant, he's watching Michael Jordan and taking a lot of his moves in the same way that like Greg Maddux is studying film of another pitcher and taking notes from that and then making his own spin on it.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's so perfect with music is people are just sampling constantly.
Yeah.
And even your favorite songs you don't realize is a sample of a sample of a sample. And so to bring it back to Lorem Ipsum, you came up with that name, and at first I'm like, is that like the small bone in your ear, like the scientific, or is that like a German inventor of the needle on a record player.
Okay.
It's none of those things.
None of those things.
Explain what that name and why you chose that name for your listening bar.
Yeah. So lorem ipsum is a filler text, a dummy text. It is a filler when you're trying to write anything, and I guess in creative writing or
like a graphic design,
and you have you know you want to put words here, you just don't know what to put there.
You want to see what the font looks like, the type, the size,
space it, and
like how do these letters look?
Yeah. That's exactly what lorem ipsum was to me. It was, I know that I want to do a bar. I know that I want to have this expression. I need to fit it in here and see where the margins are, literally the margins of a bar. I need to see how this thing fit. And what do I call it? Lorem ipsum.
It's that. It's whatever you want it to be. Like it is a project. Like it's an amorphous thing that you will eventually start. It'll start to shift and move within the margins of what it can become.
I think it's kind of like, it's wild because that's the brand now. That's the name. It has its own identity now. For me, financially, creatively, in every way, I wanted to take a risk. I wanted to try out something and see how it works. I didn't want to lose my ass off of it. I didn't want to I wanted to try it. I wanted a beta test of a bar. And who knew that it would go this far? I kind of did know. But that's another conversation. When I was typing in names, the lorem ipsum text popped up. And I looked up the definition of lorem ipsum, and I love the definition, and I've said this before. It is a filler text to not distract the creative from the creation. Or so it's basically not to distract you as a creative. And I was like, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm not trying to be distracted. I don't want to waste time in titles and all this stuff. And I just want to build this thing. And it felt good. And that's probably the most important part. It felt good. The name felt good.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Why do young people need to understand the importance of vinyl?
Because if everything is digital and everything is untouchable, if music is always in the cloud, you won't understand how real it is, understand how delicate it is. It makes you respect music. When you have a needle a needle touching a tiny groove and you could see your music. Matter of fact, if you turn all the sound, all the electric off, if you listen real close when you spin in vinyl, you can still hear it. You don't even need electricity. And it's so sensitive and so delicate, you must respect it. You must respect it. So I think it's a lesson in respect, mainly. That's what vinyl is. You can't bump around too much around it.
Yeah.
If you're too flippant, you're too wild, you gotta respect it. You can't just be running around like you have a phone in your pocket. You have to slow down and respect it. And I think I don't even have another reason. I think that is the main reason why
it's so true. Yeah. And it's something deeply human that it's a different sensory experience, both physically holding a vinyl, hearing it, the textures of it. Well,
I think eventually, first of all, I think the sound, I guess that's just be the second reason. The sound is amazing. It's warm. It's different. You can, when I was studying all this and through audio engineering, when you really zoom in on a wave, or an analog sound, there are no right angles. There are no lines. We can't hear it with our regular human ears, but you can feel it. That when you're listening to digital music, it's even on the smallest level, it's pixels of sound. That's why we need digital to audio.
There's a rigidity to that.
There's a rigidity. You can't even
natural.
Yeah, you don't even know it. Like you can't fully say I can hear the digitizing of the sound, but it's something about it that you can hear the difference between the roundness of a sound wave. So that's why Lorem, even when we're playing digital music, we use a really good DAC, digital to audio converter, to convert those digital edges in music to rounded edges. And that's also a huge thing. It's just the feeling of music is different. So yeah.
Going to cocktails, is there an equivalent where there's a certain feel to a cocktail, or it's a full sensory experience that you can't just get by getting a can of wine at the store and just opening it up and putting it back? That there's the type of glass you're using, the temperature that you're preparing the cocktail, the type of ice that you're using.
Oh yeah.
It even goes down to the chemical reaction between the two, the different spirits or the different ingredients, the food texture of it. If you're incorporating some sort of garnish on top of that, it is all a scientific thing that you're also balancing, just like music, a feel to it. So
there's so many levels that that's so real on. It could be from, I just left the farm before I came here. That I went and I got that lavender. I cooked that lavender down. I know where that's from. I met this person. And outside of meeting the person and how good it tastes because of how fresh it is. And going deeper into what we can taste actually and what things that we can feel, I just think it's a deeper taste. It's a deeper understanding. So I'll say the hand craftsmanship of a cocktail. That's a person who cares about this drink. They care about the experience. If you've talked to them, they might even be fine tuning it to you. You say you want this drink, and you say, I don't really want anything too sweet, so I back off the honey. I back off a thing for you.
I don't like mezcal. No, I love mezcal. I know it's smokiness, and you're like, okay. I'm
going to tweak this thing out for you. I'm refining it for you.
It's a very personal experience.
It got real personal. There's nothing you can't digitize. I guess in some ways you could digitize that, I guess. But that hand touch to it, reading the room, reading the person, and then on the back end of it, this person's taking all the time to make sure the citrus is right, make sure that the syrups are balanced, make sure they're using the right spirits. There's a level of just human touch that's involved in that scenario that equals that analog experience. It is analog. I would hate to see the digital version of what a bar is. I think it's one of the last vanguards of this real human touch and connection. And I think the equivalent to digitizing it is using ready-made syrups, ready-made drinks, trying to make it as quick as humanly possible, which there is space for that in bars.
Man, I'll tell you, I'm not going to lie. If I'm out on a lake and there is a cutwater of margarita, I'm like, man, I would love to make my own margarita, but this is really, that's close. A different thing though.
Well,
right?
As technology advances, the difference between digital and analog music is going to be less and less and less. They're going to find a way to make that thing look just like a record. They're going to add things from AI to make that experience look the same. And I think as in the food and beverage world, I think there will be some equivalent to make it hyper efficient and almost taste just like my margarita. Like that, I won't say I will never
to like retro engineer your handcrafted margarita.
Retro engineer every last part of it. We have to say that possibly could happen. We just need people to actually care. Like, I think that's the only antithesis to this thing, because I think it's going to get more sophisticated.
I was talking to someone just now about why I liked eating at the bar at like restaurants that have a bar seating. Yep. And it's because of that interaction. It's watching the craftsmanship of making a cocktail, but also hearing the story.
Yeah.
So how much do you infuse that into your listening bar?
Absolutely. It starts with that. I mean, it starts and ends with that. It is the story. Yes, the name is supposed to be like, not contextual, but everything else is. We care about our DJs, our selectors. We care about our team. We care about where we get all the spirits from. We care that everything is handmade and crafted right then and there. Even if it's my story, people care about that. I think there is. I don't even think you have anything, especially in this world, if you're not talking about story, narrative. And it doesn't even have to be, in my opinion, it doesn't even have to be this grandiose story. I forget who I was listening to, and was just talking about that maybe the problem with your story is you just think it needs to go left to right, like you're reading a book. What if you start in the middle, go at the beginning, and then end at, you go 2, 1, 3. You start at different points and you make something worthy of looking at. So, but still, you're giving a person a reason, other than just throwing this thing in front of them, when that's basically that's why I like having a space where it's based upon a world, or it's against the world that is continuously just throwing things in front of your face over and over as fast as possible, a place where you must slow down, and it might look like picking up a book and reading a story. You have to kind of slow down to even hear my story. Maybe we all need to slow down and then to even absorb someone's story. And I think that's why people are yearning for it so much. That's why I think businesses are the ones that are leaning into story, food and beverage. Those are the ones that are winning. Those are the ones that are getting accolades, because this desert of a world of hyper everything, people are just yearning for. Please give me something real. Give me a story.
Yes.
Give me context in this experience. So I think it's low key. The story is becoming low key more important than the actual product, which is okay.
That's what gets people coming back is the
Exactly.
story, right?
Exactly.
That we're wired to be storytellers, and we. It reminds me. Do you when you're building something like this, do you want regular? Do you have a ratio of like regulars to like visitors to Charlotte? Like you want this percentage of your restaurant going to be occupied by people you see every day or every week are going to come in on Thursday at 7 p.m. Or you want people coming in who are like, I heard about this place, I'm visiting Charlotte for the weekend. You gotta, I think, want to cater to both of those parties, right?
I do. I was thinking, do I want 60-40 like visitors to regulars? I think that's what I'll say that right now. I might regret it later, but I do. I feel like I want more visitors.
You want people from Charlotte in Charlotte to be frequenting your place, but you also want people to hear about it. Someone word of mouth. You're coming through Charlotte for the weekend. Stop in.
I like the re-education of what the Charlotte dynamic is in this world. So in this city, excuse me. So we will need a higher amount of visitors to turn them into regulars. So at this point in my career, I'm looking for, we're trying to get, I love my regulars, first of all. We have a lot of them. And we would always take care of them. I used to hate back in the day when you have a AT&T or Singular, new customers get this deal. And I'm like, what? What about me? So shout out to my regulars.
Yeah.
I love y'all. But as we're growing, and we're growing exponentially, and we're moving, I would love to get some people who are brand new, and they already have an idea what Charlotte is, and they can have a new experience with me. So yeah, right now, loving regulars, I'll definitely want that visitor.
Yeah, because Charlotte does feel like a transplant city of people coming in from out of town, and then they move off to somewhere. But there is a metaphor in that of if you're building something in Charlotte, you want it to be something like home, where you can keep coming back to it. And absolutely. So much of the new places in town are from other places, and it's really nice to have something that's born in Charlotte, from Charlotte, in the soil of Charlotte, that feels like you're not moving into Charlotte to take something from outside of Charlotte and putting it here. And that's not to say like I don't love that Uchi is opening up down the street and that I went to that in Austin and now I can have that here.
Yeah.
But we need more places like yours.
Yeah, I agree. 200%. I love traveling and going to places, but I'm also, when I go to a different city, I want to see the identity of the city. I don't travel to go to the same places I can go to here. So Charlotte, has an identity. They have old Charlotte. You have places that were jumping 30 years ago, 10 years ago, and now you need new places that rep this city. And they're from this city, and they have a resemblance of what used to be, plus what could possibly work in the future. And I believe I represent that. So, yeah.
Is there, Justin, Charlotte history within mixology or
yes,
and music that you're also learning, like as you're opening up this place and building and growing, are you learning more about the history of Charlotte in those two spaces?
Oh yeah. Charlotte's music scene I thought has always been dope. I mean, and not just the music scene, the creative and the art scene. It's a new version now and a lot bigger now. But I remember, going to slam poetry nights, and I remember going to jazz clubs across from CP. What was the name of that? I'm sorry. I'll get the name in a second. I remember going to, I remember how deep the Charlotte music scene and how deep the culture was here. I remember coming into the bar scene and hearing about Bob Peters and Stefan. Those are the two big dogs when I first started, in the bar mixology game. It's an honor to be working next to those guys. I can call those guys friends. So the Charlotte's mixology scene existed. Everything has just gotten bigger, and it's competition, and it should be. I think it sharpens the knives.
Oh yeah,
in a good way. So yeah, I think there is a history that I'm aware of, I've perceived, I was a consumer of. I've taken that all in, and I think there's ways to pay homage. There's some things that worked and some things that didn't work. But those things that worked in the past, in say older Charlotte, just probably wouldn't even work now anyway. You need someone who's forward thinking and still can pay homage and pay respect.
We talk a lot about having a signature dish in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Is there a Charlotte cocktail, or is there a Charlotte spirit, or is there something that is closely identifiable with the city of Charlotte that you feel like needs more shine, or something that is unique to the soil here in Charlotte, in the Piedmont region, or what have you, that you feel like you can't really get anywhere else other than this region here? Is there anything that jumps out to you?
There are a few things. The mixed use of farming and spirits, due to our location between mountains and the coast, not just used in a farming way or farm to table, but being used on the bar, for me is kind of really exciting. I'm trying to think of just one thing, which I think that's some work we need to do to make a distinctive thing that Charlotte is known for. But I think about the use of, say, pawpaws and the use of
well, they just did a pawpaws on Top Chef this week. They did a whole thing in Asheville. They Ashley Shanti, who's the chef,
okay. Oh yeah,
they did a whole pawpaws, and every chef was like, "Oh, this is amazing."
Yeah, like what is this? It's like it's right around this area. Things like that, and leaning into that, the things that are distinctive of ours. I would say, as a better answer to what you're saying, is the processes, the systems, the fight that we have in us is the more distinctive thing that I'm seeing right now. And I think through that grit and that edge that we're getting, we're going to make very distinctive products through it.
What is that edge? Why do you think there is an edge?
When you're called little bro all the time, when you're always looked past on a national scene, I've rep Charlotte everywhere. Oh man, you don't get the love you need from, say, a liquor brand, or they don't take you out because they don't really see you as it ain't gonna make an impact. it puts a chip on your shoulder, and you was like, when I get home, I'm going to like double down on my processes. I'm going to find something that's distinctive. That's what it's done to me. I'm looking for that thing that's undeniable. And you don't know until it is. It's fully undeniable. And I think a lot of us in Charlotte are feeling that way. So it's coming through. Just the edge is being built up, and also the respect is rising. So what you got right there is you got a dog. Like that's what you're creating. So I can't speak for everybody else. I know the fire that's in me.
Yeah, and I don't feel like just because we have Michelin here now, or that just because you were named in Esquire, just because Top Chef came here, that we're satiated.
No, that just starts it. It's just like I said before, we just saw you punched the guy and saw he bled. It's like, oh, okay. Let's I'll see you next season. Because this place is worthy of all that plus more. There's things in the nooks and crannies of Charlotte that for some reason we forgot was important. That in a lot of big cities they don't even have access to. Even the space in the land. And like I said before, I was at Deep Roots Farm, like I said earlier today, and I was just blown away by the things I had access to. And why don't I use this in my drink? Like what?
Yeah, it's right here.
It's right here.
Yeah.
Don't ever buy that. They let them do that over there in that city. They don't even they're in full concrete. I can literally, they can't mess, like if we're in competition, you can't mess with the freshness of what I can do. We're not even in the same boat at all. So, really leaning into that in this area, in this city, is something I suggest for everybody.
So they were talking at the NBA Finals, which is going on right now. Yeah. Jalen Brunson, the star of the New York Knicks, was asked, hey, did you know that the courtside seats or the seats were $75,000 or $7,500 to sit courtside at MSG? What would the reporter asked Jalen Brunson, what would you pay that kind of money for to sit courtside at Madison Square Garden? And he said, Michael Jackson live. Like if he could see Michael Jackson live.
From the dead.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's a blank check for that. I mean, but what is that for you? Like musically, if there's a concert that, dead or alive, that you would figuratively pull out the wallet for, that would be your bucket list.
$75K.
Well, just not a number, but like, what is the apex of that mountain for you that you would want to sit there and just watch a concert or be there for a concert for a musician, or it could be sports.
I think the original group, quartet, Miles Davis kind of group.
If you could,
right? I'm in front of it. I'm watching them do it. That right there, I would be like, this is, because that means Miles Davis and John Coltrane are playing at the same time. They're doing Blue and Green in front of my face. And I would,
you can't beat that.
I could personally. That for me, I would just take that would be next level for me. So yeah.
Is there a concert that you've been to that stands out? Maybe here in Charlotte that stands out as a life-changing experience for you?
I've seen Luther. Yeah, I've seen Luther here in Charlotte. I've seen Whitney Houston.
Wow.
I was a kid, really young on that one.
How old were you?
I might have been. Mom and dad must have took me. I must have been like 7 or something.
Where was that?
I think that was here in Charlotte. Like,
yeah, but like, was that at the Coliseum? Where
I don't remember it. I don't remember.
Was it outdoors?
Yeah, they told me I had pictures, but yeah.
you got to see Whitney Houston.
Yeah. But that's to say, I don't have. I know we've been there, but I don't remember that. I do remember seeing Luther. So that's all I.
It is wild
those are the ones.
That Bank of America Stadium, the football stadium, only started doing musical acts like only a couple of years ago.
That's weird. It's like
you grew up here in Charlotte with never having that kind of football stadium venue.
No arena situations. You're right.
To have like a big.
It was always the old Coliseum over there, the one on Tyvola. But I don't know if cats know about that one.
No, that's
where I graduated high school from. Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, over there. This new arena.
Spectrum Center.
Yeah, Spectrum Center. That's a new one. You know what I'm saying? So All of our high school graduations were out there. So yeah.
So yeah, it feels like Charlotte is on the rise, but it has not arrived. I feel like it's still going up. The idea of being arrived means you're staying where you're at. And
I wonder what that means fully. Arrived. You know, you say it's set.
No, I'm saying it has not arrived.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying Charlotte, I don't want Charlotte to feel like, all right, we're good now. I feel like we want to keep ascending.
Absolutely.
And not feel like we've arrived in the sense of, all right, well, then we can kind of like unpack and get settled here in this space. Because people are watching, listening to this, writing down, hey, I want to go to Lorem Ipsum, or I want to go to Soul Gastro Lounge, which is now in a new location. Like all these places. And I want them to come back year after year and find new things to get excited about.
Absolutely. The concept of arrived, I think, is, I don't know. I don't know. There's no one that should be saying that in Charlotte. Everybody should be
constantly innovating.
Yeah, constantly innovating. And I don't even in cities that are quote unquote arrived, I think it's a very interesting perspective to even say that about it. Like, you've arrived. I guess like New York has arrived, but you should be constantly hungry as a
aspiring.
Yeah, always aspiring. And then collectively, you might look back and like, damn, we've arrived. You know, but I think as an individual, as a business, or as an entity, that shouldn't even be a part of your psyche. You know, and especially if you have not arrived. Especially if you can't look around to your left and right and say that not only you, but all of your peers are in this place. And a lot of times you can gauge that on a national and world scene. So, no, Charlotte has not arrived.
And I do feel like Lorem Ipsum could be an identity for Charlotte of itself, is that it is not this one thing, and we're still trying to figure out how to build this you know, we at this event that we did in New York, I think it was Chris Coleman who said, we're not about a signature dish, we're about a signature process. And the farming and all of this is something that we strive to be, is that you come to Charlotte for that grit, for that energy, for that chip on your shoulder, and that doesn't go away. And we might not have a signature dish, just like Lorem Ipsum is not a brand name in of itself, but as like a canvas.
Yes, exactly. And you know, maybe we're planting seeds for a tree they will never feel the shade from, or be able to rest in the shade of that tree. And I'm cool. I'm okay with that. You know, and I think a lot of us in this industry, we're hopefully kicking down those walls and paving that road so that the next generation will have maybe they won't have as much of a chip on their shoulder. Maybe they just can be able to flow a little better and make some of those more distinctive things. But someone's got to do it, and someone's got to kind of fight that fight. And remember the first people busting through the wall. Mm-hmm. They're getting the shit into the stick. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think I've accepted that a few years ago. Even though I know that I deserve a lot in this industry, based upon the work and the sacrifice I put in, it might be something that I may not be able to perceive. That ain't changing nothing for me, how I work. But I think we might be talking that concept of arrived might be 10, 15, 20 years from now. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Well, you said you're building.
Yeah.
So before we go, I want you to explain where you're at, where you strive to be. Like, what is the next place? So it's a cafe or?
Yep. So of course, we have Lorem Ipsum listening bar. I think I said earlier that we are expanding. We're small. We're like 600 square feet with a patio inside a refuge hotel. And the next iteration of Lorem Ipsum is going to be multiple times bigger. We're going to have different sections and different areas for it, and we're going to take it to the new level. It's not going to be turned into a big hall or nothing. It's going to be still intimate and still dope. It's still going to focus on those things, but taking, going into our real final form and hopefully building that legacy space. I wanted to be there and stay there. Also, I'm building a cafe right now. We always wanted to go into daytime. We wanted to have this experience for people to work in the space, go deeper into all the flavors that we love. Also have some alcohol and have an amazing tea program and a great espresso drinks, cappuccinos, lattes, flat whites, all those good things, but make it to the same level that I care about everything else. So it's a new area, but it really ain't. For me, it's about care, it's about detail, it's about efficiency. Love and expressing that, and I'm gonna do that through this cafe, and I'll be opening it up probably in July.
Oh,
yeah,
let's go.
Around. We're getting this thing together. So
that's great.
Keep checking for me.
Yeah, at Justin Drinks.
Justin Drinks Instagram. At Justin Drinks, and also at loremipsum.bar. That is Lorem Ipsum. I would love to drop the name on you right now, but we're doing it right now. So yeah.
That would be amazing, but I'm sure you got a whole rollout that sure. I'm very excited for you, man. Sure. Justin Hazelton, thank you so much for dropping by and telling your story. I mean, very inspirational, and I can't wait to see. You have not arrived, and I don't think you are going to settle down anytime soon. And just the way you're wired and the quality that you put out, man. I'm really excited for you.
Thank you. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
This Father's Day, when you ship UPS Air at the UPS store, your items arrive on time or your money back, guaranteed at no extra cost. It's like the father of all shipping services. It shows up to the airport way too early, just to play it safe. It's overprotective about all the things that truly matter. And it's always prompt, especially to be with family. Make it your first choice to celebrate your dad. Ship UPS Air with our money-back guarantee, exclusively at the UPS Store U.S. retail locations. Visit the upsstore.com/airshipping for full details. Terms and conditions apply.
The right window treatments change everything. Your sleep, your privacy, the way every room looks and feels. At Blinds.com, we've spent 30 years making it surprisingly simple to get exactly what your home needs. We've covered over 25 million windows and have 50,000 five-star reviews to prove we deliver. Whether you DIY it or want a pro to handle everything from measure to install, we have you covered. Real design professionals, free samples, zero pressure. Right now, get up to 50% off with minimum purchase, plus get a free professional measure at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions apply.